Hey, today we're sitting with Eli Hall, owner of AMS Landscaping, and we're just going to bullshit about his problems when he started. I'm Josh Farley, president of Redline Electric and Solar. Join me as we talk to contractors, business owners, and experts who are willing to share their experiences to help you overcome obstacles when you're taking your business up and to the right. All right, let's go. So, hey, I appreciate you coming in. Not that I had to twist your arm. So, tell us what you do and who you do it for.
So, I am a landscaper. I focus mostly on residential commercial maintenance. My clients are, I'm more of a niche of a client that's half acre or less. I try to focus on the size of the property and the area of town I'm in. I'm trying to be mostly in the North Valley of Phoenix.
Gotcha. I'm going to derail from where we're going. So a niche. So when did you create the niche, or is that like always was it from the beginning, or?
Niche is something I've learned through mentorship, through like the entrepreneurs program that we're in. I've discovered that it's a lot more efficient. I'm more profitable when I focus on my most profitable clients, and if I can just hyper focus all my marketing and all my energy on those clients that are most profitable, and that's what I'm doing now.
Gotcha. And that also helps as far as the costs involved.
Yes.
You don't have to reach outside a certain area or drive to Timbuktu to
which is something I did early on, right?
Right.
I mean, when we're early starting, we take on everything we can because we need the money. But as we grow and we scale, it's better to, I call it downselling, where you almost like start weeding out the services you don't need to provide and not taking on clients that aren't a good fit for you.
Well, and I think that keeps the customer's best interest at heart, because when you say what's profitable for my business, might be construed as, hey, where am I making the most money? But that's not necessarily the case. Where am I providing the best resource for my customer? So when I'm more efficient as a business, I'm more efficient for my customer. So the cost involved, they get the benefit as well.
Absolutely. And there's more than just cost and money. There's cost in your reputation.
For sure.
I mean, if you take on something, you're like, early on, I took on projects that I didn't know what I was doing, but I needed the money and I took them on.
Right.
And you learn the hard way that that's not always the wisest thing. And that's where I think downselling is kind of important, just taking on what you're really good at and not being afraid to say no and referring people that are in those spaces that can, as long as you're helpful to your client, at the end of the day, they're going to be loyal to you.
Well, the power of the word no has changed my life.
Yeah.
Like, it's changed my business because some customers just aren't right, and it just takes so many resources to make certain customers happy, and we're not set up for that. So tell me about how you got started. You'd mentioned to me that your grandfather, this was your grandfather's business.
Yeah,
Okay.
So my grandfather, he moved here in like '68 from Santa Barbara, and he was a farmer, so he started a lawn service company in Central Phoenix. He was a one-truck operation. I went through some struggles early in my life. I went through a divorce, and I was in a position to take a pay cut and kind of step back. So I quit my job, and I went to work for my grandfather, knowing that he wasn't going to do it forever. And then eventually I could take over the business. I was still young. I think I was 22, 23 when I went back to work for him. And I took it over. I was 26. It was about 1999. And I knew I didn't want to push a mower forever. I wanted to grow it to be a business. So I knew, my early struggle was I figured out real quick that I could hire somebody to drive the truck around, and then I could just go around and do bids and just kind of chillax all day and take it easy.
Like in the passenger seat?
Yeah, well, no, like I just at the house, and then
Gotcha.
went out and spent a lot of. I was
yeah.
always spending money. When I wasn't working, I was spending money. This is something I learned when I was really young.
Right.
So what I figured out is if I could just grow to like 3 crews, it could keep me busy enough where I wasn't pushing a mower, and I was profitable enough to where I could keep growing, and I can get to the position where I'm not blowing all my money, and I was busy doing work, not just sitting on the couch or going out at night or going out to eat or whatever.
It wasn't you wanted more than a lifestyle business.
Well, I think at the beginning, I did want a lifestyle business.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I didn't know what I wanted. I
Which
think
is
that's
fine.
where I ended up.
If you want a lifestyle business, you still got to make money.
Yeah, at the end of the day.
I mean, somebody told me once, profit before people, and that could be the entrepreneurism of today's. You got to have profit in order to pay your people, so.
For sure.
All right, so if you could go back to when, let's say, when you first took over from Grandpa, or let's say, think about maybe back then, if you were to start your own business, what would be the thing that you changed or that you put in place from day one that you wish you started?
Growing from the beginning wasn't too difficult. Back in those days, I actually advertised in the Yellow Pages and in the newspaper.
Right.
That's how long ago that was. I didn't really have a whole lot of trouble growing to the 3 crews. I scaled pretty quick. The one thing I wish I had done is when I did scale and I started making a pretty good living, I wish I kept pushing it. I was still pretty young, and I got comfortable really quick. And I think that's when it turned into a lifestyle business for me.
Right.
And for a long time, I just kind of coasted. And it was enjoyable. I had made a great living. But I never got through. I never broke through to build a great management team where I could actually step back a little bit further, maybe focus on other things, maybe start another business, things that we're kind of learning now.
Gotcha. I mean, I remember when we started making money at Redline, I would take the money and, we'd go on vacation or we'd do the things that we never had the opportunity to do before. And looking back now, I think if I had just taken that money and lived rice and beans a little bit longer. I'd have been so much better off, or I'd have the opportunity to grow management or have some money in the bank to where I could afford to make mistakes, because mistakes are learning. We're learning every time something goes wrong.
The cost of scaling is real expensive. That's really, I think I felt like I got to about $1 million in sales, and I was really comfortable. I thought, holy cow. I mean, I grew up relatively poor. So for me, I mean,
that's the 4%. That's what everybody's reaching for, right?
I was above almost everyone in my family as far as income level. I had a great lifestyle. I didn't know people that were more financially better off than I was at the time. And of course now, one of my big takeaways is mentorship. Mentorship and reading books and meeting people that are way above my level and learning from them and getting better. And what I've learned is, man, if I just, like what you were saying, instead of taking those extra vacations, put the money and paying it forward, getting to that 3 to 5 million area where you have a good team that's actually managing all the staff. I felt like I was a really good manager.
Right.
Like I had, I got up to like, 5, 6 crews, and I was still going into the office every day,
right.
checking them in, managing them, managing all the phone calls, emails. I mean, it was easy for me. It was fun. And when you're young, it wasn't hard for me. It was just like, this is a great job, man. I had the best job in the world, I always felt like. But now I'm 42, and now I'm thinking, I don't know that that's what I want to do forever. And that's where I wish that instead of getting a little more, buying the boat, taking those trips, had I pushed the money a little bit further along and grew my business to that next level to where I could step away and do something else.
So do you think being a great manager kept you from being a leader, as far as like looking on a bigger scale? So you have your deliverables, you have your crew, the guys that are doing it, and then you have the management team, where a lot of us get stuck and we can't get to the leadership levels where we're looking at forecasting or strategy or vision. Do you think that because for me, it took a while before I even thought about being a business owner. I was in business for myself for years before I'm like, maybe I'm not just an electrician, I'm a business owner too. So how did you get to the leadership levels, or how do you feel?
I always felt pretty comfortably in leadership, but I just wasn't really good at hiring the management team. I was really good at giving it great instructions for my crews and what the expectation was, and they grew to know that. And it's real easy for me, that portion of it. I guess I could probably use more work on my leadership skills for my management team, what's expected of them, and I'm still learning that. I'm still in that process now.
We're constantly learning. What was the last book you read? You talked about books. And
I'm in the middle of *Sapiens*. It's like the growth of humanity, how like the human person started. It's kind of a long book.
All right.
In the middle of that one,
I wanted to go. I think
one of my favorite books, though, and I actually did read recently. I finished with it. Is Built to Sell.
Yep.
I felt like it's really similar to the E-Myth, but I think it's way more understandable. I think it simplifies how you should scale your business and why and what a real business is.
Right.
Really similar to the E-Myth, but I just love the story better.
Well, I recently read that one, and it talks about processes in place, and you want to get to here. You want to sell your business for X, but you're only worth Y, and what are the steps to get there? And then once you get there, do you want to sell anymore?
Yeah.
Like that's the question. Like, are you trying to get there? So let's talk about that. So the future for your business, like what is your goals? Like what do you see 10 years from now? Is it building and selling? Is it building and passing on, or?
I'm still in the air with it. What I've learned now and what I know now, you should always build your business to sell. Because at the end of the day, it's a more efficient run business. It's the kind of business you want to own. So
if you wake up tomorrow with a heart attack,
Yeah, plus it needs to be able to run itself. Otherwise,
Right.
you just have a job.
Right.
And I definitely don't want that forever. I don't want to be doing this when I'm 60. I know that for sure. I feel like that maybe there's another business inside me somewhere that I just haven't found yet. And I always feel like from other entrepreneurs and mentors that they resolve an issue inside their business and they somehow create a business around that.
Gotcha.
And that's kind of what I'm looking for. I want to see if there's something I can solve in my industry that maybe I can take it to my industry and sell it across the country. And something that'll be fun.
Right.
At the end of the day, I want something. I don't know, something that I enjoy more so than what I'm doing today.
Something you're passionate about.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Like I'm passionate about a few certain things, and growing up, you don't have the opportunity to follow your passion when you have to pay bills. Sometimes it just doesn't work out.
Yeah, not a lot of people say I want to be a contractor when I grow up, right?
Not a lot of people say I want to mow lawns.
Yeah,
So you gotta evolve as the industry goes. So up into the rise, it's my journey of how I'm trying to better my business, and I'm trying to help those along the way. So like guys like me. So I started out, worked with my hands. I said I could do this for myself. Did it, and now looking back, I wish I had so many things that I knew or had in place as a business owner. I didn't make that switch for a long time. So let's try to focus on the next guy's coming up. If somebody came to you and said, "Hey, I want to start a landscaping business, and I'm looking, what do you think? What do you think are some key points, or what do you think are some key aspects that I need to consider, and where do you suggest I start?"
Look at the bottlenecks. Your first few bottlenecks, and I'm sure you experience it, is hiring. Growth and hiring is always it's gotten worse. I feel, especially here in Phoenix.
Well, I think that's every business we've talked to, every business owner I talk to, and I struggle with it, is definitely manpower is tough.
So building some sort of system or figuring that resolving that bottleneck issue. I actually mentor a guy that's, he's got a smaller landscape company than mine, and that's his number one complaint. He doesn't know how I can even hire people, and
Right.
sometimes I don't even know how I'm doing it. We just run ads on Craigslist. It's the labor portion is the tough part.
Right.
It's easier to find supervisors, office staff. It's, for me, anyways, it's a lot easier. It's getting that the low wage team member that does the remedial work. That
Entry level stuff.
to
right?
keep us competitive, you still need that low level person in there to continue to for us to be able to build and grow and to be able to compete with other landscapers.
Well, and I think growth is the key there, because when you have a guy that comes in on entry level, if you say, "Hey, I'm gonna work." Come on in, you can apprentice with us, or you can learn from us, and you can be this position for the rest of your life. It's not attractive. So if you're not growing, there's no opportunity for him to be there. So you have to continue to grow your business to provide opportunity for them, because they need to grow, or they're going to go look for something else.
Exactly.
Which is a lot of why we're probably in the shortage that we are. There wasn't the growth that we needed. So that's that. I see that constant struggle for myself as well as a lot of other people.
I dream about having a school that trains landscapers to start at entry level.
Right.
And how cool would that be? I've heard of other businesses that have done similar things.
Like created
that.
a school, like an apprenticeship, how to trim. Me and my wife we got a letter from SRP. It said, "Come hang out. We're giving away free trees." My wife's like, "Great, we'll do." I expected to go to this class just to learn something. So we went, and we learned something about landscape and desert. And then they handed us 2 baby trees. I'm like, what the hell am I supposed to do with these? Like, they sat in my front yard for 2 days, and I kept watering them. And they're like, dig a hole. I'm looking through the paperwork. I don't know how to landscape. So I called my landscaper. I'm like, dude, you got to come bury these trees for me. Like, plant these trees, or my wife's going to be very upset. But, no, just same thing with an apprenticeship. Like, how did they learn that? Like, so what?
Just
Is it that hard to create a school or a class or a training?
I'd like to start off with maybe creating some videos, like how proper way of trimming a bush, proper way of edging a lawn, proper way of mowing turf. Just starting off with the basics, and then maybe proper etiquette, believe it or not, is an important thing when you're talking about an entry-level person. Maybe you shouldn't smoke on the property. You know, maybe you shouldn't go to the bathroom in the alley. How about that? You'd be shocked at what happens in space in our
right.
industry.
Maybe you don't show up in flip flops and
yes.
That's awful for sure. Going to the bathroom in the alley.
Don't
do that. So if you're watching out there and you want to be a landscaper or you're working for a landscaper, don't use the alley as the John. What do they wipe? Like, what are they?
No. We're just talking like
number one.
Kick number one.
Okay.
Yeah. But it seems so mild, but it's believe it, it's a big deal. It's something we talk about. I don't want it to casually get overlooked as somebody's badly got to the bathroom. Let's make a point
proper
to stop
etiquette for sure. No, and so let's talk about people and etiquette. So I mean, I get so many applicants coming through when I place an ad, and I feel horrible sometimes when they come in. They show up in flip flops, reek of cigarettes. I mean, they're not. I don't know if they know what the proper etiquette is, but like I want to tell them, hey, I'm not going to hire you. But for your next interview, please put on some shoes and some pants that don't have holes. And maybe that's all he had.
Yeah.
Maybe that's all he had. But if it were me, I'd lead with, hey, this is all I have.
At least something to take.
So now I know this is all I have, and that's what I'm dealing with. So there is something to be said for our standards as owners, as the people that represent our company. We want here. We want to make sure that we're represented right, because those guys in the field are an extension of us. So it's definitely tough, but that we can go on for hours.
Yeah, actually,
we can talk for hours about people that come through the implied.
And core values. I don't know if you've used those in your business.
Oh, for sure.
I think that has helped us tremendously. That's one thing that I think there'd be some value.
So let's just talk about that, because we're talking about whatever we want. So because I run the show, so and I appeal to my guests. He can do whatever he wants. Did you start with core values?
No, this is something I definitely learned. One of the things that I've learned later that I think is a big tip is get mentors above you and read books. I mean, for me, that seeing what other people have done, and some of this stuff sounds silly. I thought core values in the beginning was silly till I did a core value exercise.
Well, the core values you're talking about, like honesty, integrity. I mean, those are like the
So of course everyone's like, I want every core value in the world, right? That's what we all do. But I think the best way, and this is how it worked for me, is I picked my best employee, and I just wrote down the 10 best things I liked about him. In order, the things that I most liked about him. And then I got my worst employee, and I wrote the 10 things the worst things that bugged me the most about him. And I reversed those and made them positives. And then I picked out of those 20, 5, 6 core values that mattered most to me. And they really resonated with me. Landscapers, it's about keeping your promise.
Right.
Calling back. How many times have you hear, well, at least my industry, it might be the same in yours, where people just don't call back, they don't follow up, they don't communicate.
I think that's everybody, yeah.
Yes, and for me, so keeping your promises and exceeding expectations were two big ones, taking ownership, and positive and motivated for me. I mean, to me, there's nothing worse than somebody that doesn't have positive energy, and it's those negative Nancys in your life.
Right.
I don't have them in my personal life. I'm not going to have them in my work life.
No, that's great. I'm going to do an episode about core values myself, so I won't get into mine right now. But I never thought, because I did it based on what I feel. But that's great as far as you take where you see your great employee. What do you want?
Yeah.
And listed them. I mean, that's a great exercise there.
And that's a great way to copy that person. Really the core values are still you.
Correct.
It's what you like most about them.
Correct.
So they're still core values are always. I think they're always you.
They've got to be the owner.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy that's driving the ship.
But you can look at your best
gal,
and you can look at your best employee and see the attributes you love the most about them, and that's where if that resonates with you, then you want to continue hiring people like that.
Right.
That's really where I found them, and it resonated with me. We ask questions based around those core values when we're interviewing, And if we do, when we do reviews, we always bring up core values. And I try to make it a weekly thing on Mondays when I come in. What did you do that exceeded expectations this week? I'll pick a core value, and I'll just ask my employees, And I have a list of things that I consider going above and beyond, like rolling up the hose. If you were at a house, was there a hose that needed to be rolled up that was just kind of lingered around? I mean, if you came home and the hose was rolled up, wouldn't you kind of be like, wow.
Even if my wife did, I assume the landscaper had it out. Or like,
yeah.
I mean, because he might show up and the hose is out and it wasn't him, but he left it there versus just.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, for
Those
sure.
Those little things. I heard a story about a friend of mine that had a landscaper. I'm not his landscaper, but he told me.
Well, you have a niche.
I have a niche
area.
But he told me this great story, and it really resonated with me, and I made it part of one of our above and beyond expectation things. But he said he had a landscaper for 20 years that did 20 homes in his neighborhood. Showed up in the morning. He's a one-man show. Showed up in the morning, pulled all the trash cans out because he'd show up on Thursday and trash day was Thursday. He did all the yards, dumped all the trash in the dumpsters, and by the time he was done, the dumpster guy came and he put all the trash cans back. He said he had never taken his trash out or put it back in 20 years, with the exception of one time when the guy took a vacation and his trash didn't go out.
Wow.
So how could you fire a guy like that? So when you think of little things like that, it might be a dumb little thing like that. That guy could probably charge whatever he want, and that my friend would have paid it.
Right.
Like how do you? What, are you going to start taking out the trash?
Right.
Pay the guy.
Right, for sure. Oh, that's great.
It's little stuff like that.
Eli, thanks for joining us. If you guys want to get in touch with him, tell us how to get a hold of you.
Easiest way is go to our website, azlawns.com. You can also follow us on social media, Facebook, and we have a YouTube channel. Both of them are AMS Landscaping. Yeah.
He's also extended an offer for our viewers. What are we looking at?
I'm going to offer a $50 off if you sign up for regular maintenance.
That's like what I pay for mine a month. I don't want to.
I'm trying to give basically about a free service.
Perfect.
If you want to see the offer, go to the website upandtotheright.org. You can also check out our notes if you're listening to this on the podcast. And if nothing else, just contact us directly at azlawns.com, or you can give us a call at 602-944-0421.
And welcome our new guest host. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Hey, thanks for tuning in. If you like what we're doing here, subscribe to our podcast at iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher, and to our YouTube channel to see more episodes. Go to upandtotheright.org to get all the links.